All right, what's up, Highland? We've been incognito. The flu and everything has taken a lot of us down.
Took me down.
Took Joe down. Not me. Lone survivor, I feel like, as far as flu goes. So we haven't had any episodes for the last couple of weeks due to some of that stuff and just all the chaos of weather and everything else. So here we are. We're back. And we got Mr. Scott Plocher today. I'm excited to hear, lots of things. He knows a lot of stuff.
He does know a lot of stuff. You're going to enlighten us today.
Yeah. Enlighten the whole town.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I know you're a busy guy, so this is an honor here.
Yeah. So, Joe, do you have your wealth tip of the day?
Wealth tip falls right in line with tax season. You small business owners out there, you got till April 15th or your extended tax filing day. Make sure you get your your SEPs and your simple IRAs and all those things funded. Non-small business owners, if you qualify to put in for a Roth, you got until April 15th to get 2024 contributions put in. So take this time and look at your situation and see if you can afford to put that money in. One thing I always say is you cannot go back in time and get that money in. So tax-free growth is where it's at on the Roth, but kind of run of the mill. Get your stuff going before tax filing day, April 15th.
Nice. The health tip. So with the flu running rampant and, sometimes it's just completely unavoidable. There's nothing you're going to do about it. However, being in the fitness industry, I do know that exercise is going to be one of your best defenses against it. So people who exercise more regularly are a lot less likely to get sick. So, just making sure that, add that to another reason why you'd want to exercise is to avoid being sick or not as sick and able to recover faster. So that's what I got. So we'll get into the good stuff now.
All right.
So where do we even start, Scott?
Who is this guy?
So let's start. Like I said, the thing that I will go with that. What I'm most interested in, and we were just kind of talking about it before we got on here, is everything that's going on off of 143 and 55.
So do we want to make sure everyone knows who Scott Plocher is? I mean, that might be not everyone knows Scott Plocher. Sure. So Scott Plocher, could you just give a little bit of who you are and how you got to where you're at today? Story. I always love stories. How'd you get where you're at?
Yeah, happy to explain and appreciate the opportunity, like I said, to be on and talk with you gentlemen. So Scott Plocher, I run or help run Plocher Construction. We got a group of young people that help me, and we're actually in a transition period of me trying to take more time off and have them take more on. So we're excited about that. But yeah, I'm a born and bred Highland guy, Highland Bulldog pride, love it. And 1989, I graduated from Highland and was raised here, and really proud to be a Highland guy. My best break in life was growing up on a farm. I'm passionate about that as it relates to my how I got where I got, but most importantly, graduated from Rolla from engineering and got a job with Ameren pretty much straight out of school, and that really launched my career. I was a young, dumb engineer, and Ameren allows you to do some crazy stuff, build some crazy stuff, and that really trained me for the job I have now, which is Ameren is 50-60% of Plocher Construction's business. And so the first 10 years was spent at Ameren, and then I took over and bought the company from my dad, Plocher Construction, from my dad in 2005. And we have a saying, we like to be the quiet company. We just like to do our thing. And really our claim to fame is we do all of the stuff that really nobody else wants to do. And it's behind fences, it's at industrial places. Our glamorous stuff is some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, which is the buildings and things that people see along the road. But really, I'll tell a short story about that. That's really a means to an end, this commercial business stuff for us, because our core business is really building wastewater treatment plants and power plants and things for Ameren and other things like that. And so really proud of our company, and really we're just a bunch of 150 person family of local folks that really hit it out of the park and really best in the industry from our perspective.
So with you saying that, to me, that sounds like the perfect story of building relationships when you're younger. And here you are, you're working at Ameren, and now probably because I'm assuming because of the relationships that you cultivated at Ameren, now they're a very large portion of your business. Is that a good assessment of that, about establishing those relationships?
100% true, and thankfully I didn't leave Ameren on bad terms. In fact, I had kind of been priming the pump that, hey, I will be leaving at some point in my career to go, because Plocher did work for Ameren when I was still working there. And so it was a good transition, and at the end of the day, Plocher's a good contractor for him, and so it's worked out well. And so, I'm just really proud of our company, and frankly, I'm passionate about economic development. Highland, one of the things I wanted to talk about today or tell you guys is I don't think the city and our little area here recognizes how much economic development is churned out by the construction industry of our little area here. If you plot on a map, probably anywhere in the country, in my opinion, and the concentration of really, really good construction folks and backgrounds and companies for this little town here, and we're a good-sized town, but you got Cordy and Litjohn, you have us, you have the Metlers, you got Jelly, Joyner. I mean, the amount of concentration and what that breeds in economic development for our area, I don't think people realize how much that really contributes. And,
good point.
And honestly, it's really a function of the folks that live here, because we draw from about a 10-mile circle for most of our folks that do the work in the field, and they're superstars, and really that's a function of our culture, where we all came from, and that hard work ethic really has bred why a lot of folks set up shop here construction wise.
Yeah, no, it is impressive when you look at how big of companies come out of this little community of ours.
Fighters.
Yeah. And really just interesting. Like, I would have never guessed that 50-60% of your guys' work was from things that we just don't ever see. So that's really cool.
Which tells you the scale of what they're doing, because the things that we do see is we're all, anyone, we all go to Edwardsville, and they're, that feels like, is it 157? Is that where?
57 or 59?
143, 157, a little bit in 159. A little bit about the Edwardsville story for the Highland crowd's edification is that, what I've seen happen over the last 10, 15 years is, and I think it's been good for generically Madison County and obviously good for Edwardsville, is Edwardsville has become the new Fairview Heights for Madison County. In other words, when we were, you're a little bit younger, but me and Joe's age.
Thank you.
Fairview Heights was the place to go.
Busted.
And that's where everybody went to the mall and all the cool restaurants and what have you. And, I'm not sure exactly what's going on in St. Clair County, but over time, Edwardsville has become the hub of all the areas, and to some extent, it's got some negativity for Madison County, and that the success of Edwardsville and everything that's going on there somewhat detracts from folks wanting to be nearby, and so we struggle with that a lot. But we essentially didn't have a strategy for this. The way it's worked out is we've worked basically from the east side of Edwardsville, which is 157. I'm sorry, the west side of Edwardsville, SIUE, and the entrance to the city, so to speak, from that side of the town, moving kind of to the east. And so our latest project is on the east, as you guys recognized there at 143 and the interstate.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I like that Edwardsville is getting all this stuff because it doesn't bring all the chaos to Highland, but it's close enough that I can, enjoy all of it just as well. Heck, there's probably parts of Edwardsville I can get to just as fast as people that live in Edwardsville.
That's a great point.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Certain, like, I can be at the ice rink in under 25 minutes, and I bet there's people in certain parts of Edwardsville it takes them 15 to 20.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So
that's why our name in Edwardsville isn't as popular as it once was due to the traffic that
It's tough to get there.
So I'm
they forget by the time they get to the other end of town.
with them taking all the cool stuff and having it, and then it just being right next door to where I can still get there literally just as fast as everybody else.
What we see and hear from developers, our retailers and others that want to be in Illinois or are just looking for space to do, is what we've come to believe and know is you draw a line in Illinois at Peoria roughly, and south of Peoria, I'm not embellishing here, there's really two spots south of Peoria that retailers and places want to be, and it's Edwardsville, Glen Carbon area, and O'Fallon. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's striking how those conversations go.
Yeah, those two towns are looking very similar. Like when O'Fallon gets a restaurant, Edwardsville gets one, or vice versa.
Agreed.
Like any of the new stuff, like High Point is here and here. Dewey's are both spots. Like
now Edwardsville needs a Menards.
Yeah.
Or do they have one? It's so big. I don't know. Maybe
there was one coming, and it got shelved for. They're getting another grocery store called a Meyer grocery store. It's going at Orchard Town Center, and it took the spot of where Menards is going.
Okay,
so there we go.
I'm guessing Menards is still coming. It's just
they're probably chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. You've done a lot of projects. What is your pride and joy?
Yeah, I think from a commercial perspective, it's we call it the Parkway or Trace on the Parkway, and it's the development that we did at the entrance of SIUE. It's at the corner of 157 and Governors, and really it's you talk in the developer business about mixed use, and that's a buzzword in these days, whereby you can live and you can work and you can shop and play at one site. And so this was a 26-acre site that we took over back in 2005. It was actually part of a deal where we moved Madison Mutual, the insurance company. They wanted to be in a new building downtown, and so we took the land off their hands and built them a building downtown, and then struggled for a little while to figure out what we wanted to do with it. And the best thing that ever happened to us for that site, 26-acre site, was back then Amazon was really disrupting the retail world, and we were going to do traditional retail on that site, and luckily for us, Amazon made everything go crazy and all those plans got scrapped. And so essentially we evolved into this scenario and master plan whereby we did apartments on the site, we had a planned retail area on the site, and then we also have offices on the site. And probably more luck than anything else, that ultimately evolved into about $120 million investment that has been full. Like the minute we open the apartments, they're automatically full. And the luck, in my mind, to some extent, is what's going on with the world, whereby home ownership is not looked down as strongly as it has been in the past, whether it's for economics or otherwise. But our view of the rental business is that it's here to stay for the foreseeable future, and we kind of hit that early on. And
you can see that too, even broader from all the complexes that are going up, and they're full. They're probably full before they're even up completely. But I see what you're saying there for sure.
Yeah, and that is a neat area that you guys have over there too, with all the new restaurants, and there's a bunch of restaurants over in that small little area. It's got to be at least 10.
It's and some of the restaurant guys would say one or the other, but most of them say within reason, and as long as it's not the exact same concept, more restaurants the better. And that's why you see the concentration of restaurants over there in Edwardsville.
Bunch.
Those folks understand that traffic drives traffic. And so, as long as it's not the same concept, they want more restaurants.
And it's fast too. I feel like every time I go there, it's a little bit deeper, and a little bit more, and a little bit like I didn't like Lottie's has got a cafe going up in Glen Carbon now. Yep. Is it Glen Carbon or is it actually?
It's Glen Carbon.
And I did, I'm friends with the owner, and I am like, oh, okay, which they're not open yet, but it was kind of neat to see. Okay, they're being part of this growth picture over there.
Yeah, what folks don't see is this development business. It's hard, and we're working on a Lottie's deal probably 12, 18, 24 months in advance of it actually happening. And a lot of these deals, don't necessarily happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of push and pull and trying to get a lease done, and then ultimately does the land work out with that, and it's a whole big picture. But
you're probably an expert in city politics with all the the red tape, and we've talked a little bit in the past, and
unfortunately you have to be in the development business, and we're honest with those folks. We've developed a relationship with all of them in the area, and some of them honestly are easier and better to work with. And, we don't ask for the world, but on the other hand, we do ask for responsiveness and common sense to the extent they can.
That's a hot topic, right? Common sense is a hot topic right now.
Yes.
That's a hard thing to define.
So let's move on. We're not going to dive into that.
We're going to give our definition of common sense.
Buzzword. All right. Well, thanks, Scott.
Well, let's shift over. What is coming closer to Highland?
Yeah,
and
so
just one off of 143. I see some big old nets up there.
Yep, and so that's a 90-acre development that we've had in our lap for, like I said, we're working from west to east, and that's the eastern side of town, and so it'll be anchored by what we'll call a Top Golf Light facility. In other words, it's basically a Top Golf equal. If you look at, for instance, Chattanooga, Tennessee, their Top Golf arrangement, it's basically that, essentially, but we'll brand it ourselves. It's called Park North Golf Club. Same name as the overall development. It'll also be paired with, this will be different than a typical Top Golf. There's a concept called Pop Stroke, and if you ever go to a big town anywhere, this is, I would consider, putt-putt on steroids. And so right next to the Top Golf will be a 18-hole Pop Stroke type endeavor, which is basically, like I said,
So is that like a kid friendly, or is this adult?
It's all of the above. It will be more, or can be more, adult based. In other words, at each hole you can order your drinks and they'll be brought to you.
When's this thing open? I'm in.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so needless to say, so it's a 90-acre site. That takes up 12 acres, but we're right next to Plummer Park.
I was going to say, how many parents are going to leave their kids' ball games and head over there and didn't see you, buddy? Sorry.
It's part of the marketing strategy, no doubt.
I love it.
And so our goal for that entire site, and ultimately, like I said about the development business, these things take a long time to work out, but we would like to have that site be a sports or entertainment themed site. And so think of things like we'd love to get a Shields, for instance, to come there from a retail perspective. We were working on Dick's. They're going Dick's Sporting Goods, but they're going downtown Glen Carbon now. But endeavors like that.
Close to the facility that.
This 90 acres, we got to fill it up.
Yep.
That's really all we got. There will be a couple hotels there, no doubt. Some new hotels going to go there.
What's a project like? What's this timeline look like?
So Top Golf will open. Park North Golf Club will open July 4th. Actually.
Okay.
So you asked
coming
for it
up
to be open. It's coming.
All right.
The rest of the development, it'll probably take us a good 12 a year to 2 years to fully develop it out. And honestly, we got a piece of paper. Some of those parts and pieces may or may not be there. For instance, we're really struggling. I say struggling. We think apartments will go well there, but is that really the right site for apartments? Then you got to evaluate the market. We got interest rate issues.
And you got correct, and you got people that are they going to complain about everything else
right next to the interstate. Sure. So you got all these balls in the air, and so. Another tease would be, or one of the big home runs we would like to hit is a couple of them would be, some folks know an entity called Buc-ee's. This is at an interest.
Everyone just tuned in.
Yeah, I've seen the T-shirts. I've never actually been to
I don't
one.
think Buc-ee's is coming to Illinois for political and other reasons, but there's another entity that's similar to them that actually has a facility in Fenton, Missouri, that we're talking with that is Buc-ee's-like. And so we think that has would be a big draw for the spot. And then I don't want to get people fired up too much here, but we would love to see this site have a Great Wolf Lodge or something similar to that. And so these are the kind of concepts and things. And no doubt we have 5-10 restaurants already kind of, contemplating where they would fit into this. And so it's just a bunch of moving pieces that we're trying to fit on the site, but try to have it be sports and entertainment themed. Slick City Action Park, that's another one. It's an indoor sled kind of place. So all those kind of concept is what we're really focused on.
I love it. You're thinking a lot of different things of what can plug in here, and you have 20 things on the table, and 8 of them will plug in.
Right. Right. And honestly, that's been some of our success in Eversville globally is that we try to brainstorm the things the community and or the county or region at large doesn't have. and try to go after those things. We don't really chains are fine, but we'd like to bring in stuff that either we can do ourselves or that's unique to the area.
So that golf concept that you were talking about, is that, through your brainstorming strategies, is that someone had seen something like that in another part of the country and they're like, "Wow, we really like how does
I can't take credit for it. There's a gentleman in Eversville that hatched the idea, and yes, there are other of these I'll call them Topgolf knockoffs, so to speak, that have sprouted up, and it's pretty typical. It's in college towns that are not big, huge college towns. Like Springfield, Missouri has one, and we kind of watch their development, and they're not a Topgolf. They're more similar to us, and so yes, that's kind of what we mimicked after. And at the end of the day, you do the economic analysis and say, can our area support this? Does it fit into our nature? And then you take the big leap.
Place will be crawling with college kids here in about a year and a half.
So what about the putt-putt thing? That's where I was at. Like, that concept. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Well, that one just came along with visiting other towns where they have this pop stroke, and we're like, well, Topgolf, that sounds great, but what else can you pair it with to have it be a total experience for these Plummer Park visitors and others that could really take their time.
So that's a brand of like.
Popstroke is the brand name globally.
Yeah,
we're
not
going to
use.
we're not going to use their name.
Well, you could throw like some AstroTurf in the middle and put like the bags and the adult.
We will actually have that.
Like a lounging area that has bars and stuff that you can walk up and.
This will not be the typical Topgolf in that we have probably a 5,000-6,000 square foot area between the bays of the golf and the restaurant portion of the structure that basically is a big hangout area for whole teams. And a whole thing to be able to camp.
So
out.
the putt and the golf, that's all one
Connected.
thing. Okay, I was thinking they were going to be kind of two separate.
Connected.
They're going to be connected.
So
it's all
you
one
can
thing.
almost spend a whole day there, honestly.
Okay.
Well, I think this is awesome news because even like I didn't know the depth of what was going on there. I think everyone relates to the Topgolf concept, and that's where people are thinking. But all these other layers that you're given to me is like, I'm ready to go on Friday night, and I'm sure that sounds good to you. You're like, all right, that's kind of what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then just, and I know all this is connecting to Plummer Park, which, I got two little ones that are getting ready to start playing sports, so I know my trip's probably heading that way or coming soon. So just knowing that that's going to bring us even that much closer to that area, because now it'll all connect with one road, just right off the 143.
You're going to have a split sidewalk where the mom and the kids go to the games and the dads all drift off somewhere else.
We'll be over here.
And you start giving everyone like those, when you're at a restaurant, you're waiting for the red lights to go off. You can give all the men that, or women. I don't want to exclude the women. Okay. Hey, the game's over.
You're making me feel good about it.
All right. Hey, man, I love it. All right.
So, anything as far as Highland goes, anything coming that you know of?
Yeah, man,
want to fill us in on Highland? Anything?
We've really taken, the city folks will recollect this. We've taken so many runs. We know the city needs a hotel. Our opinion is the
good topic.
Needs a hotel. We've just taken so many runs at it economically and just can't get there. I'm not saying we won't get there eventually. There's others in town that are working hard on it as well. And we want to be a part of it. It's just it's really a tough nut to crack and just a big challenge. And so, we talk to a lot of retailers, obviously, that come to Eversville, and we're always preaching the Highland story. And frankly, in our view, the Highland story isn't told all that well necessarily to the folks, specifically, say, over on the St. Louis side, Missouri side. Sometimes they just don't want to hear it, but once they open their eyes to the possibilities of what they're seeing in Eversville, and some of these places, their top grossing stores are in Eversville, Illinois, like across the country. And so that gets people's attention about, okay, if it's that good in Eversville, what could these other towns nearby provide? And so we just keep beating the drum for Highland as it relates to bringing some of these retailers to Highland. And Highland's done a great job of being open for business, so to speak. And we talked about cities and their amenability to work with developers. City of Highland's great, and they want to work with us. And it's just trying to get the retailers on board to sign on dotted line.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like I said, I'm okay with all this stuff being just down the road as far as I'm concerned.
I think a lot of people would resonate with that too. You know, you get too much going on, and then the small town's not a small town anymore.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I get it. Honestly, if there was one thing that we should really be appreciative of the Bosler facility, for instance, that we have in this area, because again, I'm passionate about this economic development, and people don't realize how that makes our area better from an economic perspective. And so if we could get a couple more of those, not that size necessarily, but just more job creators that would then ultimately play into the household piece, the rooftop piece, that would go a long way towards getting us over the hump.
Gotcha. Well, how do we do that?
It's a constant
That's the real question. This is $1 million question.
So you're got to be a good app. You know, you're probably so busy, but there's a lot. There's a community page in Highland which we put this out on. You know, every week when we put it out, a lot of hot topics. You know, Jeff and I talk about it a lot, and people get on there and say, Highland needs this, like Highland's going to generate the entity. And, you know, here's a good example of, you know, we are able to go out and create that need. So, you know, I'm not knocking the ones that say, hey, Highland needs this. And that may be true, but it's up to the individual to go out and say, hey, that's a good idea. I want to go and pursue that and see how to make that happen. Maybe you can give some encouragement to those ones that say Highland needs this, Highland needs that. Like, I mean, here's a guy that, you know, is in economic development.
My experience is, for instance, Trader Joe's in Eversville. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 10 million times.
My wife just
we gotta
said
have a
this.
Trader Joe's, and it's not happened. And that's a negative example. But we've had many examples whereby people get on these retailers' Facebook pages or whatever their social media pages is and say, "You have a clamoring here in this town. You need to get here." We probably had 3, 5, 10 retailers in Eversville that ultimately, I mean, they hear the story of Eversville, but then they react to that. And so it does matter if people speak their voices in that regard. So, yeah, to your point, it's not just a retailer scanning the world and saying, well, I'm going to go there. It's a multitude of factors that come into play. And the need or the perceived need has value to these retailers.
So, in your professional opinion, does Highland need a Texas Longhorn, Texas Roadhouse? I'm sorry. And is it sustainable? Let's just get that out of the way here.
This is a tough crowd to please, but in my opinion,
you got that right.
We could do better.
Okay,
honestly, we could do better.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Leave it there. We won't get into
we're not going to get into anything right now.
We'll try to keep
we'll keep our opinions off air.
Yes.
That's what we do.
If you want our opinions, come ask us. We got plenty.
And it won't be recorded either.
Well, Joe, you got anything else for Scott?
I think you did a great job, kind of, especially the part of the development in Edwardsville. I think that should excite a lot of people. Keep asking the questions. When's it's coming? I learned a lot. I'm pretty excited. I'm glad you're a part of it. You know, Highland has someone that is part of some of this development. Is pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it is exciting, and like I said, all this stuff is right in our backyard. So to me, it's as good as being in Highland. So
yeah,
I'm excited for everything to come.
You got anything that you wanted to?
No, I just like I said, I appreciate you two and this kind of podcast and getting information out and being able to talk to folks. Again, we're the quiet company, and so we don't necessarily put ourselves out there and publicize too much. But we do like talking about it, and we're really proud of our guys and what they do. And so just appreciate the opportunity. And like I told you guys before we started talking, you know, you guys contributed to economic development of our area. I'm just so passionate about the normal world does not realize how the world works from an economy perspective. And I'm not saying that it's all that important, but for me, it's a passion for me. And so I just really appreciate folks that go start businesses and really grind and
I'm the same.
And push to make stuff happen, because really that's what makes America great.
Yep.
I'm really proud of our country and just happy to be here.
Yeah,
love it.
And that's exactly why we're doing this, is to try to get all these small businesses and everybody in town
Entrepreneur spirit
to showcase themselves. So thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.